So, to be quite honest, 2023 was a less than ideal year, and although there were some good times and some memorable moments, I do kind of feel like I spent most of the year just being like stressed and anxious and worrying about my career and my living situation and just sort of umming and ahhing about what I was going to do about any of it. And while I did come out of it probably having learnt some lessons that were necessary and I'm definitely in a better place coming into 2024 now, I do kind of feel like I just didn't achieve anything at all with 2023. Like I say, not that there weren't some good times, but in general, just looking back on it, I kind of do feel like I just wasted most of the year. Which brings us to this video, because there was one thing that I did do last year, which I'd sort of almost forgotten about until the other day actually. Whenever I saw something or heard something that I thought was like a good lesson in life, something a bit motivational, something that I should keep at the forefront of my mind, something that I valued, I would write it down on a post-it note and stick it next to my bed. Now that might sound really cheesy, and maybe it is, but what I would do is every time I thought of something new or heard something new and stuck another one up, I would take the previous one off and put it in a little envelope at the back of my notepad. And like I say, I'd sort of forgotten about all this until the other day when I heard something and I thought, oh, I should write that on a post-it note. And I thought, oh, I've not really done a post-it note in like a good 2 months or something. So today we're going to have a look back through some of these notes that I wrote and see if they are in any way useful, if I've learned from them, if I still agree with them. I actually can't remember what any of them say, so this is going to be quite interesting. Maybe it's all a load of crap, but let's see if there's any worthwhile lessons that I actually did get in 2023. There's actually a lot more than I remember. They're all sort of stuck together because obviously they're post-it notes. I'm not going to read all of these out, but I'm sort of just going to sift through them. Oh shit, man. Sift through them and see if there's any worthwhile ones for us to talk about. Okay, let's get started. I actually do kind of remember this one. I think it was from towards the start of the year, maybe. And I do think this still resonates with me. Okay, the past is a useful teacher, but it does not change the woes of the present. I don't think that came from anywhere. I think I just maybe thought about that one day when I was doing something. That is true. The past is a useful teacher, but it does not change the woes of the present. So I think what I was thinking about there is that maybe part of why last year was a bit dull for me was because 2022 was like literally the sickest year of my life. And although I learned a lot from that time, it didn't necessarily mean that 2023 was great. Just because I learned this stuff from 2022, it doesn't mean that I wasn't still going to encounter problems in the future. So I actually do still think this is a good point. The past is a useful teacher. You can learn things from your experience, but that doesn't mean that you're not still going to have rough times in the present or future. It just means that maybe you might be slightly better equipped to deal with them. Man, some of these are proper cheesy, you know. Like, I feel like I saw this one. I went through a bit of a meditation phase. I mean, I meditate pretty consistently, but I went through like more of a reading into the fucking zen of it all kind of phase. And I think this is something that I saw in that. It says, calm the seas so as not to tip the boat. And then in brackets, you are both. I agree with that. I do agree with it. It's kind of a wishy-washy way to say it. Calm the seas so as not to tip the boat. You are both. So I guess what I was saying, I guess that's trying to mean like, just don't struggle so much, man. Like, you are your own downfall a lot of the time. And really, I should have fucking listened to that, because last year I was doing nothing but creating myself mental problems by like doing all this unnecessary mental gymnastics. Calm the sea so as not to tip the boat. I'm both the sea and the boat in that scenario. And really what I was doing was creating a fucking storm on the ocean. That's a good point. I should have listened to that. I should have left that one on the wall for longer. Some of these are really basic, right? Be influenced by the positive, always. No shit. This is a good one. This came from like the summertime, which is always the best time of any year. Let's be serious. True appreciation is to live enthusiastically. Saw that on a YouTube video somewhere. True appreciation is to live enthusiastically. Life is what you fucking bring to it. I went through a period in summer where, because life was a little bit better, it was easier for me to be enthusiastic, and therefore life got even better because I was being enthusiastic about it. The challenge, and I've addressed this in previous videos, the challenge is to be able to bring your enthusiasm to the mundane and the day-to-day, and that is hard, and even bring your enthusiasm to the difficult times in life that is really difficult. But I definitely think it's worth trying. See, all these things, I wish I could just fucking stick on my, like, tattoo them on my hands, or like just fucking wear a pair of glasses and stick them to it constantly, because these are things that I need reminding of all the time, but often I don't think of, they don't come to mind because you're too busy doing like just normal day-to-day life shit. This is funny. This is a 1975 lyric, right? Not to be that guy, they are my favourite band probably ever though. It says, "The dog won't bark if you don't lark about." That's from Money by the 1975. But the reason I wrote that down is because I interpreted it to mean, again, it's like almost like creating problems for yourself, right? Like, the dog won't bark if you don't lark about. If you just, because it, like that song, that moment, I always picture like they're sneaking into a house like after curfew or whatever. And it's like, if you just come in, the dog won't be arsed. Like, if you just come in, get to bed, the dog won't fucking be bothered. But if you lark about, the dog will bark, right? And I was thinking about that as a metaphor for just like life in general. Like, if you just fucking keep moving, you stop creating problems for yourself, the dog ain't gonna bark at you. You're gonna have a lot of an easier time. Some of these don't really make any sense. I don't know what they mean anymore, so I'm skipping through a couple of them. Also, there's quite a lot, to be honest. Are you a victim of the world, or are you the world? Again, I think that's another Zen Buddhist thing. I think I still agree with that in a lot of ways, because you are the world, right? Like, you can again, this whole video is going to be like fluffy and airy fairy, but you know, we're in deep now. Get the fuck over it. You are the world in the sense that you can I almost said you can be the change you want to see. Who the fuck am I? What I mean is, if you make yourself better, you will be a better influence on other people, and that will make them better, and it's a chain reaction. That's sort of what I believe, like, and I guess to some degree I believe in like the individual's responsibility to do that, you know, and I'm all for like socialism and like that aspect of society, but I do think that a lot of people are trying to make the world a better place when their life is still in fucking shambles. So like, if you work on yourself, the world will get better by association, because you don't want to be a victim of the world, because you are the world. That's funny. This one just says, if it's not one thing, it's the other. Very true. Very, very true. I have no idea what this means. I'm guessing it's another Buddhist thing. Begin each new day with an empty teacup. I'll have to look into that at some point, because there's a story. I'm pretty sure there's like a Zen story about an overflowing teacup, but I can't remember what I meant when I wrote that. Oh, yes. I like this one. Okay. It just says, small moments, many times. Right. I think I got that from, there's a meditation teacher called Joseph Goldstein. I'm pretty sure that's something that he said. So the idea being, I guess if you're looking at it from like a meditation standpoint, when you're meditating, the idea is to catch yourself getting distracted and bring your focus back to like your breath or whatever. So it's not, you know, it's breaking things down, small moments many times. Like, you're gonna get distracted many times, and then you're going to catch yourself and bring yourself back many times. And those small moments, when done often, actually equate to something bigger. So small moments many times means if you break down what you're actually trying to do into smaller stages, smaller goals, smaller steps, and focus on those, you've got more chance of reaching where you're trying to get to. Because I think often what I do is I look at the end picture too much, and I worry about what that's going to be, rather than breaking it down into steps and then just carrying out those steps to actually get to where I need to be. Small moments many times. That's my favorite one so far. This one says, there is no self, right? That is a whole other fucking video. Take a second, breathe, feel. Essentially what that means is be present. I think all too often we get carried away with our emotions, our turmoil, our worries, and we should just, in that moment, remember to take a second, breathe, feel, because it's just a grounding tip, you know what I mean? If you sort of just take a second, relax, brings you back to the reality of the actual situation. To be honest, a lot of these, like, you would think I was having a sort of very fucking zen year, and like I say, I did go for a period in the summer of that, but aside from that, it was stress, mate. Looking at this, you'd think that I was on some sort of fucking spiritual path. This is funny, right? I was starting to read this one, and I thought it was going to be another, like, proper Buddhist one. It says, transcend the day-to-day struggle by being a sick guy. Yes, transcend the day-to-day struggle by being a sick guy. I guess that's a less Buddhist way of saying if you work on yourself and you just be a sound person, like a sick lad, the world will adapt around you and do the same thing. Transcend the day-to-day struggle by being a sick guy. That's my new favorite. That's so fucking funny. This one's written in like quotation marks, so I don't know if this is something that I said or someone that I know says, or if I just saw it somewhere, but it says, what, like quotation marks, what lies ahead of us, question mark, and then the second set of quotation marks says, fucking optimism, mate. I think the issue I have sometimes is I go through these periods of just like balls to the wall, yeah, everything's gonna be sound, life's fucking sick, fucking optimism, mate, rather than a more steady, calculated approach to just like being consistently enthusiastic. But I suppose, given the turmoil of last year that I was sort of having mentally a little bit, going through periods of like sheer optimism is better than just not having those periods at all, because last year the reality of me having sort of any sort of level of consistent enthusiasm, it just wasn't going to happen. Oh, okay, everything is always all right, that's the rule. I'm not 100% sure what I meant by that. Maybe that's another example of me just like really trying to just have some level of like joy and optimism, like just get into, I almost reach these points where I hit a wall and I'm like, yeah, fuck this, what am I doing, you know what I mean? And I pick myself back up and drag myself back to the top of the scale. That seems like one of those moments. Everything is always all right, that's the rule. It's almost like I'm telling myself that like, you've got to sort your shit out because life goes on, that's the fucking rule. Like everything always has to be all right, so get your shit together. And I guess there's some utility in that, because whether we like it or not, life does go on, so we do have to get our shit together. You know more than you think you do, just as you know less than you want to. Okay, I guess that's like about balance, essentially. Like, you need to know that you're capable of stuff, i.e. you know more than you think you do, but also know that you always have room to grow and get better, i.e. just as you know less than you want to. I think we always have room to grow, and I want to personally like keep moving forward year by year. Like I'm all about progression, both just in like life, but also in terms of like my personality and the way I am as a person. And I think it's important to remember that, yeah, you are learning stuff, like don't doubt yourself too much, but also doubt yourself a little bit. Okay, this one's a classic Joe Delaney. Let us judge our time not by the feels we feel, but by the feels we bring to those around us. It's sort of the thing of like being a good influence again, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just about your experience, it's about making yourself, I almost say like complete package, but I don't know if that's the right word. Essentially just being like a nice person. Nice is the wrong word as well. Just being a sick guy. Being a sick guy is the only way I can put it. Being a sick guy so that you bring a good energy to the people around you. Like, you can't just judge your life on the way you are. You also have to be good to those around you, because we exist in a society. This one sounds far too lofty for me to have written it, so I'm gonna guess it was when I was reading Oscar Wilde. This sounds like an Oscar Wilde quote. Shallow sorrows and shallow loves live on. The loves and sorrows that are great are destroyed by their own plentitude. That's true, and that's not even like self-helpy or like, I don't know, it's not in the same vein as a lot of the other ones that I've read out, but shallow sorrows and shallow loves live on. The loves and sorrows that are great are destroyed by their own plentitude. I'm a romantic at heart, and that resonates with definitely the way I used to be. It's also like quite, I don't know, that makes me enthusiastic about life, man. I don't know, do I agree with that actually, right? Because I've come to the tangent, right? I've come to the realization over the past few years that, like, let's say love, like the love that burns like hot and fast dies out quickly, right? Whereas the shit that is sort of naturally grows over time has a foundation to last an eternity. Whereas I guess this is saying the loves and sorrows that are great are destroyed by their own plentitude. Maybe I don't agree with that, but it just sounds nice. Don't be afraid to want more just because you fear not getting it. A lot of people have this thing, and that's not like want more in terms of like materialistic things. I'd say that's more like, don't be afraid to push yourself in case you fail. You know, a lot of people have that fear. Like, I know a lot of people that are like, you know, musicians like me, or just like artists in general, and they don't try because it's a hard industry, you know, like it's difficult and you're probably going to get rejected at some point. So a lot of people just go, I can't take that. Even if they don't realize that's what's happening, they sort of mentally go, I can't take that rejection. That's too scary. Therefore, I'm not going to bother. Okay, I remember this one. I came up with this saying and was actually quite proud of myself at the time. And I think it holds up. It says, the moment is all that matters. Each moment is either a sacrifice, a loss, or one truly lived. So what that means is the moment is all that matters, i.e. be present, right? Each moment is either a sacrifice, meaning that you sacrifice now for a better future, right? So that might be something like working hard now to reap the fruits of your labor at a later date. Each moment is either a sacrifice, a loss, which means that you haven't been present in that moment at all, and therefore it has just passed you by, or one truly lived, i.e. one where you are completely present and just living for the now. That's a good, I'm still pleased that I thought that up. That is a good phrase. I think this maybe was early on in the year. That definitely sums up like thoughts that I was having coming off the back of 2022, because a lot of that was not sacrificing any moments and just truly living them. Whereas the idea for 2023 was to work hard and sacrifice some of the present to gain in the future, and it didn't really work out. And I guess that's kind of sad, but I think I just went about it in the wrong way. But either way, the note still stands. The moment is all that matters. Each moment is either a sacrifice, a loss, or one truly lived. Man, I hope there's some fucking good ones to finish off on here, because we're getting near the end, you know, and that was a pretty good one. That would have been good as the last one, to be honest. This one's quite good, but it sounds a bit like an Instagram caption. It says, talk less, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. True. This maybe was one of the first ones that I put up. It says, our greatest sin is to grow old before our time. Just because I know some people that, I don't know, man, like I feel like I've had quite a youthful early 20s, even though I'm not the most hedonistic person and I haven't done a load of wild shit. Like, I feel like I've been young while I'm young, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people start getting beaten down well too early in life. Like, they die when they're like fucking 35, but actually live till they're 70, you know what I mean? Like, they're still living, but are they? You know what I'm saying? I'd laugh if I got to the bottom and the last one I picked was a really shit one. Confidence comes when the brain is unconcerned with the worries it imposes on itself. I guess the theme of a lot of these seems to be get out of your own way. Like, you're the cause of a lot of your own strife. And I definitely think that's true for me last year. Man, I should have made this video ages ago. I should have just read these back. Because it seems like briefly at some point I was cluing onto that. It's that thing that I mentioned a couple of videos of like, I am what I think you think I am. Right? Of like, you sort of impose your own worries. You project it onto what you think other people think of you. And that affects your confidence. So don't do that. It's less than ideal. Right, there's 3 left here that are all stuck together. I'm going to separate them out and choose which order is the best to read them in to end off this video on a high note. Let's go with this one. Calmly listen to those you disagree with. Keep your heart open. That's a good point. Live by that. You should listen to people that you disagree with, because they might be fucking right. You might be wrong. You don't know everything. And also, even if you still disagree with them after you've listened to them, it's good to know their point of view. This one says, these really could both be the last one. These are both good closers for this video, right? This is from a Fred Again song. If you don't know, don't worry. Need I say more? And let's end the video with this one. The goal should always be to be a sicker guy. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you've learned something. I definitely have. I need to reflect on those more often. Here's to a great 2024. Let's all be better people. Peace. This looks like I'm about to read you a bedtime story. It's gone dark while I've been filming this.